Welcome to Belize. Welcome to Belize. Enjoy the Belize.
Welcome to Belize!
Welcome to Belize.
Welcome to Belize. Visa for Belize. Now, getting one for Belize is quite easy. It's quite clear on the Belize immigration website if you need one or not. But if you do and you hold a visa for a Schengen visa, a US visa, or a Canadian visa, then you don't need a visa for Belize either. One thing I would say is make sure that you're not relying on the CA4 country visa because Belize is not part of it. So that includes Nicaragua, Honduras, El Salvador, and Guatemala, not Belize. So make sure you check separately for Belize. It doesn't cover those. I would say it's a generally easy visa category country. So check if you need one. If not, just head over. Let's talk about money. Now, this is the currency of Belize, the Belizean dollar. And what I like is it has a familiar face. Yes, this is the Queen of England. So the Belizean dollar is pegged to the American dollar. So you will always get 2 Belizean dollars for 1 American dollar. Weirdly enough, on the islands, they don't include GST in the prices. Whether that is food, or that is tours, and it can add a significant chunk at the end. So I would recommend you check before you book anything, especially for tours because it can add a significant chunk. Although a few tour operators did mention if I pay in cash, they won't charge the 12.5% tax. Before you start packing your bags and head to Belize, you need to know what's the best time to come here. Now, I would recommend from late November to March. That is the best time. You have good weather, not too hot. I've seen like a couple of days of rain in the entire 18-19 days that I've spent here. Other than that, it's been absolutely amazing and the weather is really good. It's not like, it's good to go out to the sea. The water is warm. So late November to March is your best time to visit Belize. It's also really good for snorkeling and there's quite a lot of stuff that you can see. But if you're after whale sharks or manatees, I would recommend coming a bit later, but then it is also quite hot here. Let's talk about getting around in Belize and the public transport. So for a tiny country, it's actually very well connected by air. You have a few different airports, which are more kind of like airstrips because they're so tiny and these 14-seat planes go there. And for that reason, they're actually quite expensive. So a ticket on average costs about $100 US. The other option is to use private transfers or shuttles, and they are also quite expensive. So when I was checking from Belize to Placencia, the air ticket was like $100. Whereas a private shuttle was like somewhere between $200 US to $215 US, which is ridiculous. Taxis are also quite expensive and there are no taxi apps, so you will have to hail them. Although you can use shared taxis at a few places, which is quite useful, especially in San Ignacio. So yeah, it's a little complicated. The thing I found the most fun and user-friendly is the bus. So you can get on chicken buses, they're easily available. They even have timetables and you can see the routes. So it's really, really helpful. And I took the bus from, Placencia to San Ignacio to Belize City. So take the buses. If you want to drive, you can easily do that. It's actually quite safe to drive as well. The roads are really good, but you can't do a few things like Caracol because the road is actually really bad. And if it rains, you will be like, the road is not that good. So you need like a 4x4 for that. Also, when you go to the Keys and all, you will have to get, tours and water taxis. So driving around, I don't know how useful that is to you. But if you want to do that, it's a good idea here in Belize on the mainland. There are water taxis if you want to go to some of the keys like Ikalkar or to San Pedro, easily available water taxis. So that's really good. And another reason for probably not driving is like you will be doing quite a lot of tours here going to a lot of places. I don't know how useful it is to actually have a car around. So these are all the options. Public transport, chicken buses are the best and they are also the cheapest. So I would definitely recommend them for getting around. Let's talk about something you'll be spending a big chunk of your money on in Belize: tours. Now, before I tell you about this, the quality of information they provide on the guided tours here is much better compared to their neighbors, seriously. So while they're really good, they're also really expensive here. So in the south, I didn't see anything, even half-day trips that are less than $80–85, and they don't even include any food, just a bit of fruit. Full days are upward of $100 and $125. So if you're on a budget, I would recommend being strategic. In the south, the only place I would recommend enjoying is Mohoki. The rest of them are all right, nothing special. And you can do all the snorkeling later on the Keys, which is much cheaper here. When it comes to Coxcomb, you can easily do that on your own as well. And when it comes to San Ignacio, I would recommend doing ATM and Caracol on the tours. You can't do those two, I believe, without a tour guide. No, at Caracol you can, but the road is really bad. When it comes to Shinantanich and Kahal Pech, which are the Mayan ruins, I would honestly recommend doing it on your own. I did it on my own. It was super easy, and actually it was really nice to just do it on my own. After all the information I got from Caracol, I didn't need a lot more, but it was really fun. So you can also check Belize Zoo on your own. Again, a nice bus ride from San Ignacio to Belize. When it comes to the Keys, I would recommend coming to Key Calker and skipping San Pedro, because it's pretty much everything that you can do in San Pedro, you can do in Key Calker as well. You can do the Blue Hole from here, whether it is the flights, diving, or snorkeling. And you can also do Hole Chan and the Shark Ray Alley here, as well as they have their own South Channel. They have their own Shark Ray Alley. They have coral gardens, everything. And something really fun I found is that Key Calker has a cave underneath. So if you're cave diving certified, you can look for that as well. They also have night snorkeling here in Key Calker, which I really enjoy. So I would definitely recommend checking that out. I would also say that you should probably check online reviews before, because there was one tour that was like absolutely rubbish in Key Calker, but the rest of them, they try their utmost for you to see everything and have a lot of fun. Most of the time, for full day tours, your lunch is included, as well as some fruits. Do bring your own water bottles so they can refill it for you. And I think, like, I spoke to a couple of guys, and if you book all your tours in one place, you can also get a good amount of discount. Last but not the least, check with them, because some of them are happy to give you a discount if you pay with cash. So that's all about the tours. Be strategic and have a lot of fun. When you're booking tours, whether you're going on the sea or you're coming to the Mayan ruins and a lot of places, make sure you ask for the group size. Otherwise, this will be one of you people. So how many days for Belize? This is a tricky question, because despite it being a small country, there's quite a lot to do. So I'm talking about the Mayan sites like the one I'm sitting at right now. There's, beautiful eco resorts which are next to beautiful waterfalls and rivers. You can also explore the tons of 450 different islands, basically keys they're called here. So I would recommend coming for no less than 7 days, because in that time you can just go around, and if you get private shuttles, things move a lot quicker, because it's a tiny country and you can drive easily. But some places you can't cut corners, like I'm sitting in Caracol and you need to just do it as a full day trip. You just can't do it because the road is bad. So 7 to 10 days for a good experience. I'm spending about 16 to 17 days here, And I'm not regretting it because I still have quite a lot. And there were a couple of places I just had to not do because I was not, I just didn't have enough time. One thing I would recommend is slowing down because things go at a chilled pace in Belize, and that's the best way to explore this country. Let's talk about language in Belize. Now, English is spoken everywhere. It was the biggest surprise for me that you land and everyone speaks English, so you don't have to worry about translations and things. All the menus are in English. There are a few languages like the Mayan ones. I think there's 3 Mayan groups that live in Belize. Also Garifuna, Creole, and Spanish. I haven't seen a lot of people speaking Spanish, perhaps close to San Ignacio or a little bit on the islands. But generally English is spoken everywhere, so you don't need to worry about it if you speak English. All the tour guides speak English and most of the stuff is also available in English. So yay! Thank you Belize for that. How expensive is Belize? Very. Crazy expensive, especially when it comes to tours. So the accommodation, you could, do a really nice job. Food is a little expensive. Gas is very expensive, or petrol if you're in Europe. And the most expensive thing is the tours and taxis. Tours and taxis are the most expensive thing. I could not find anything less than $80, even if it's a half-day tour and, doesn't include your lunch. So I would recommend getting all your tours in one place, negotiate a little bit, and you could get a discount. But do come prepared. Belize is definitely not a backpacking type of place where you could just do with a little bit of budget. So yeah, let's move on to the next topic. Right, let's talk about the people of Belize. Now, Belize is a very multicultural country. There's 4 main groups here: Mestizo, Creole, Garifuna, Mayans, and there's always present the North American white folk. Now, people on average are really sweet and they're really friendly and they will try their best to help you out. They like to say hello to you, they're friendly, so they try to make you as comfortable as possible around you. And that's the day-to-day experience. The experience was a little bit different and weird when I went on tours, and I don't know how to think about it. I think I need a little bit more time, but I have a theory about it. So apart from 1 or 2 times, every tour I went to, I kind of felt like the tour guides tried to be nicer and more, they tried to please the North American or generally the white people more. I think it's because they think they have more money and they will tip them better. I could be very wrong, but I got this nagging feeling the first time, and then the second time, and then the third time. And it just kind of went, it just kept getting stronger and stronger. So that's one weird thing that I felt. Like I said, I don't know how to think about it, but yeah, that was not a very nice. People in Belize really like the wordplay between believe and Belize. So you will see a lot of it, like, seeing is Belizing, it's unbelievably amazing, all of this. And the best thing is everyone tells you this with a straight face, like you're gonna hear it for the first time. And trust me, you'll hear it like at least 1,000 times. I find it really cute. Oh. Is Belize safe to travel? And luckily the answer is quite simple. Yes. I mean, compared to their Central American neighbors, Belize is much, much, much safer when it comes to visitors. I'm not saying it's completely safe, because there is some violence and petty crime. But generally, if you're sort of going to the more touristy, I'm talking about Placencia, I'm talking about Hopkins, most of the national parks are really well secured. They had some issues in the past, but they sort of came over it. So the Belizean government takes the safety of its tourists pretty seriously. The only place I had a bit of an issue after dark is San Ignacio. I haven't gone to Belize City, so I don't really know much about it. Belize is perfectly safe to travel. Don't worry about it too much. Which SIM card should you buy when you come to Belize? There's only two companies. One is Digi, which used to be Digicel, and the other one is Smart. So Digi had a monopoly before, but now there's two companies. Honestly, there's not much of a difference in terms of the prices, but it is Digi that has a better coverage. And I've been really surprised at how good the coverage and the internet has been so far. Even when I was, doing the drive around, it's been pretty good. So I would recommend getting either. But if you definitely want more coverage, Digi is your main company to go for. In terms of prices, it is actually quite expensive, and data especially is quite expensive. So yeah, getting a SIM card in Belize, you need to be a little prepared. For 4 GB data, I paid like 44 Belizean dollars or 22 US dollars, which is quite a lot. Internet has been pretty good and really fast. So if you're working remotely, honestly, I would not worry too much about the internet speed. I mean, the water flow has been like really trickly around here, but internet speed is wow. I was uploading some videos and about 18-19 gigabytes went up in like 3 to 4 hours. So if you're working remotely, this is a good place for that. You cannot drink tap water in Belize, so you need to get bottled water, but please make sure that you check with your hotel, guest house, Airbnb, resort that they provide filtered water, which is going to be amazing, so you don't need to buy bottled water and use all these plastic bottles. Also, if you need to buy plastic bottles, I would recommend bringing your own reusable one. I've seen a few tours do this where they take a big bottle and you can just, they can fill it up for you. So bring your bottle with you, it's really important. There are a few things you don't want to forget for Belize. One, insect repellent, because if you're anything like me, the mosquitoes will bite you off. They will kill you with all their bites. Two, sunscreen, because the sun is pretty strong, but make sure you bring the reef-friendly sunscreen, not just anyone, because the snorkeling here and the coral reef here is really beautiful and you don't want to destroy it with your sunscreen. Hats, sunglasses, and flip-flops. Really important again. If you want to do diving, make sure you come certified already because Belize is quite expensive for that. And Discover Scuba dives are as much as about $180 to $250 per dive. So yeah, come prepared. Please, 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 please don't touch anything underwater, or if you go to the zoo, and don't try to touch any animals. It's just not a good idea. It's just a really, really bad idea. Not because of the animals, but also for you, because you don't know what is dangerous down there. So the sharks can be pretty unpredictable. The stingrays can kill you. And when it comes to corals, you could have severe consequences. There are fire corals, a few different types. You can get up to 2nd-degree burns there. So be careful, don't touch anything underwater. Really important. And also, you can't take anything with you, especially from the reserves. Shells, sand, anything you see there, you just leave it there, apart from your garbage. You bring that back with you. This is Brown Boy Travels. I really hope you liked this video. If you did, please do let me know in comments. I'd love to get some feedback. Do reach out to me on Instagram and TikTok as well. I do post some content there too. And I will see you at another beautiful destination in another beautiful video. Until then, you have a gorgeous day ahead.